Yo guys, what is up? It's your boy Jamestheace. Welcome back to another video. In this one, we are going to be taking a look at some things after the many years that this game has been out, and even some of the new updates, that are pretty recent, still contain things that, for the life of me, I don't understand why, don't make any sense. And I know a lot of you probably have a lot of things to add to the list even after this video, but maybe some things in this video have been in front of your face the whole time and you haven't even stopped to realize that they don't make any sense at all. So today we're going to be looking at the top 5 things that to this day don't make any sense in Wizard 101. Alright guys, so here at number 1, which is actually a gripe or a complaint depending on how you look at it, there are some very big inconsistencies with the way cards are buffed in this game. So basically what I mean by that is spells like Hydra, spells like Spectral Blast, and even the level, I believe it's 68 spell, Chimera. These spells were introduced to give a balanced player the idea that balance is supposed to be the intertwinement of myth, death, life, ice, fire, and storm, right? And we all know that Chimera will use spirit blades and spirit traps, and Hydra will use elemental blades and elemental traps. However, spells like chastisement or punishment, which are used for the sole purpose of raising your balance damage, which for some reason, even though Hydra is an elemental card or has 3 heads that do elemental damage and will utilize blades that are elemental or traps that are elemental, and Chimera, same thing for the spirit sets of blades and traps, utilize balance damage. And the whole point of using punishment and or chastisement is to boost your balance damage. But for some reason, when you use chastisement or punishment, Hydra and Chimera are conveniently unaffected. It's actually kind of a huge loss for balance wizards, because I feel like in the later worlds, when you do eventually have chastisement and or punishment trained, I feel like you could definitely use it in a strategy for PvP and PvE, where Hydra is, or Chimera as well, is boosted off of those damage auras. And the same thing goes for Spectral Blast. On top of that, Balance's recent addition to its arsenal, Balance of Power, the plus 25 damage bubble, it's basically the same thing as a damage aura, except, to our surprise, Balance of Power has no effect on Spectral Blast, Hydra, or Chimera. So this is a huge letdown, to be honest. Again, kind of a gripe, kind of a complaint, but the inconsistencies are obviously there. And while I'm at it, I might as well mention that Insane Bolt is technically a moon spell, and if you're a Storm Wizard and haven't already noticed, Insane Bolt doesn't take into account Storm Blades, Storm Traps, or Galvanic Field, let alone the, I'm not even sure what it's called, but the Storm Bubble. I'm pretty sure it's like Windstorm or something, but it doesn't take into account that either. So if you have a moon spell that's being boosted off of your storm damage, wouldn't you think that the Storm Bubble or Storm Trap or at least Storm Blade would affect the overall outcome of your damage with that spell? I don't really know. It seems inconsistent to me. People might argue that it might be too overpowered, especially in PvP, considering the spell is already boosted in the caster's favor to not backfire, but it's a moon spell and does moon damage. It literally goes through storm sets, or ignores them, if you will. So should you really be doing 100 extra damage if you have 100 storm damage flat with a moon spell? Let's think about that for a second. All right, gang, here at number 2, and before we even get into it, I'm already going to tell you guys that this is going to hit a home run and then some with all of you boss farmers and PvE strictly only players. Now, number 2 is going to revolve around the second chance chest. Now, Cronus is only an example in all of this madness, right? My main 3 examples in number 2 are going to be Cronus, Gladiator, and Shane Von Shane, the first iteration of Shane Von Shane, the bat transformation of which you fight him in, not the big mech that you fight in Castle Darkmoor, right? So Cronus drops 3 major things, which is why this boss is still farmed to this day. And those 3 things being Amber, the Blade of the Felled Titan, which is actually still pretty good and used to be the best theme in the game before Darkmoor dropped. But either way, if you're a PvE player and you're taking a character up, you're probably going to want to farm for the Blade of the Felled Titan unless you don't get it within like 20 runs. But it's a very common drop, actually. Those two things, and then the last one being the Exalted Life Amulet, which arguably is the most rare of the Exalted Amulets, and both Cronus and Gladiator drop them. Now, if you're farming Gladiator, chances are you're either farming for Amber, of course, the Alpha and Omega ring, which used to be the best ring before Darkmoor. So if you are a PvE player, you might be farming for that ring as well while you're trying to take up a character. It is, again, another common drop that drops from Gladiator. And or, once again, any form of Exalted Amulet or the Exalted Life Amulet. Now, I am willing to bet that you have spent countless days, countless hours, countless runs not getting what you have wanted from these people. And I know for a fact there's at least, bare minimum, I'm pretty much guessing that there are more, but bare minimum, there's one person who would drop a lot of crowns on a second chance chest. And I feel like it's an L for King's Isle in the end, because obviously if there's money to be spent in a certain area where you can easily implement a second chance chest and put all of Cronus's drop table items within that chest. I mean, it's probably a drag and drop sequence. I don't know. I'm not a game developer. In the end, I don't think it would be that much of a hard thing to do. But the fact that there isn't a second chance chest for bosses like Shane Von Shane, because that amulet is very popular, especially amongst the PvP and PvE community at max level. Cronus and Gladiator, and I'm pretty sure there's a whole list to be had with everybody watching this video of bosses that should have second chance chests, excluding key bosses, because those bosses I can understand why there wouldn't be a second chance chest. But the fact that these three, right, that have items that are widely sought for, don't have chests is beyond me. Doesn't make any sense. On top of that, second chance chest benefit, it only allows one free chest per 24 hours depending on the dungeon, or actually no, per dungeon period. So like, why? None of this makes sense. If the boss drops an item that is either A, widely sought for, B, the boss isn't a key boss, or C, the boss drops an item that can be farmed nowhere else in the game but that boss, then that boss should have a second chance chest. All right, guys, going a little bit further up the top 5, we have number 3, which encompasses everything pets. Now, I gotta step back for a minute and tell you guys that pets have a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of things that don't make sense dealing with pets, and I'm sure you guys already know, but maybe you don't. So that's why at number 3 we have pets. Now, I want to give pets the benefit of the doubt, right? Because pets have been around for a long time, and I want to say that the devs who were working on pets back then might not be the same devs who are working on pets now or handling the pet updates, right? But even the pets that came from the Celestia update, the Zafaria update, so on and so forth, don't really add up. Let me show you what I mean. So if we go over to death pets, right, we go over to page 2, brown spider. Now, anybody you ask will tell you that this is a life pet, specifically because this gives a giant spider card, which is pretty much like the pet version of a brown spider TC. It hits and then applies a 25 damage aura to all life spells. Now, to everybody's surprise, if you didn't already know this, brown spider is actually a death pet, and the only talents that aren't selfishes in the first generation of the brown spider talent pool are death. Those talents being death giver, death proof, and death shot. Now, who thought when putting brown spider into the game that once the pet update came out, if this wasn't already out before that, that a life spell would go good on a death pet? Yeah, man, let me just, boot up my level 30 death and put on a life mastery and go hit some people with giant spider and then start using life spells, which is the worst hitter in the game. You know what I mean? And this isn't the only pet that's following in those same footsteps. The Cave Chameleon is in fact a death pet, as you can see right here, and it gives a Pierce card at baby. Why is it? This should be a myth pet then. What sense? Why is a Chaos Leviathan giving a storm accuracy card to somebody who sees this as a death pet? I don't understand. Like, and that's another thing that I actually want to get into, right? Why does low Medusa have a school restriction on it? If I wanted to hatch with a low Medusa on my max life who has a bunch of energy gear, right? And that's the case for a lot of people. They have max wizards that are a specific school, maybe not specifically myth, but what if you put on your energy gear and you want to hatch your little myth, your level 5, level 10 myth, a myth pet, and that pet that you happen to want is a low Medusa? Well, you can't, because this low Medusa is a myth school only pet. I don't really see how there is a risk to PvP or PvE, let alone by letting somebody train a pet or use a pet, low Medusa, that isn't myth. The only arguable bad card that could be abused, maybe in PvE, is the 7-pip Medusa that this card gives, I think ancient or epic. Yet somehow the life hybrid of Leviathan, and this goes for any other hybrids, are not locked to the hybrid school or the original parent school. As you can see, the Eternal Leviathan, being a life pet, is not locked to life, and it's not locked to storm. Also, let's please not get into the fact that a lot of these hybrid pets are only giving cards that are useful to the parent school. For instance, this Cloud Beast, which is classified as a storm pet, gives an enraged Forest Lord, which is a buffed version of the pre-patched Forest Lord for 8 pips. And I'm pretty sure a Storm Wizard is not going to be putting on a life mastery to use a enraged Forest Lord. It would definitely be cool to see some of the hybrids give, you know, cards of their school, like a Storm Forest Lord. I mean, there's already TC of that. I'm pretty sure there's a TC version for every school of Forest Lord. Same thing for the Ifrits. I don't know why a Ice Ifrit is giving a Fire Ifrit card when there's a TC for every school of Ifrit. Like, that would be kind of cool. It would only give one card of an Ice Ifrit, so it wouldn't be broken in PvP or PvE. But again, it doesn't make sense. If it's an Ice hybrid, it should give an Ice card, right? Or something of the sort. Sweet number 4, which actually isn't as sweet as you might have thought, considering that this is a top 5 about things that don't make sense in the game. But here at number 4, we have gold for crowns. Now, I don't have to spend much time on this at all. This is going to be the quickest of the top 5. But the fact that you can spend 24,000 crowns, that's almost, actually, in the top 3 bundles, that's anywhere from $30 to $40 worth of crowns spent on 50,000 gold, right? The lowest bundle that you can buy of crowns is $50, in which case $1 is worth 600 crowns. If you divide 24,000 by 600 for that bundle, you are spending $40 on 50,000 gold. That is absolutely ridiculous. If that is the case for any of you watching or anybody you know, and you are spending crowns for gold, 1, you need to stop it. 2, get some help. And 3, it's time to stop being ignorant and get educated. Put on your best hitting gear and start gold farming. All right, your best bet is farming Halfang. That's Halfang. If you have no idea who that is, the Wizard101 wiki is your best source for everything Wiz related. All right, I use it. It's a great site. You can literally make triple that by gold farming Halfang in like less than 2 hours. In fact, in an hour, I think you can make almost 130,000 depending on your luck with drops. If you get a lot of amulets and a lot of robes and a lot of hats, which are very common for Halfang, and most wizards can actually 1-round Halfang. So in that case, in an hour, you can almost triple or quadruple the amounts of gold that you can get for 24,000 crowns. That's ridiculous. 0 cents. All right, and here we are at unfortunate number 5. So I just had to flee because I died and no one could heal me. And I'm gonna have to go through the entire dungeon to get back to my friends who are at Tartarus right now. Currently, we are running Hades and I can't teleport to them. I can't. Apparently, KingsIsle has failed. Right here, your friend is busy right now. KingsIsle has failed to streamline in every single dungeon the ability to teleport to your friends, even if they're in the same dungeon as you. Now, I know that, you know, these things kind of go hand in hand with people saying, well, it can be used as power leveling, but why can't KingsIsle just create a system where you can teleport to somebody as long as they're in the same dungeon as you. And now I have to make this entire run back to Hades in order to get drops, or just tell them to kill without me. Like, this makes zero sense.
James, where the hell are you? We need mass faint.
Yeah, come on, James. We're about to die.
Yeah, well, just give me 10 years. I'll be right there. And that is going to be it for my top 5 things that don't make sense in Wizard101. I had a lot of fun doing this video. I had a lot of time to talk it over with friends. A lot of these things happen to be like either minor or major inconveniences, which result often more times than not in players being like, dude, why is this a thing? Like, why couldn't this had been made easier years ago? Or just things that just don't make sense, period. But let me know if you guys think I should make a part 2, and let me know if you guys made a top 5 things that don't make sense, what you would place on your list. Other than that, if you did enjoy, please make sure to drop a like. A like does go a long way in the YouTube algorithm today, and if you want to keep up to date with the videos that I post in the future, please make sure to drop that hot sub. I greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.